Good afternoon and welcome to the City Council meeting of July 15th, 2024. I would ask that you all rise for the singing of our national anthem.
Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With flowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free, from far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you to our very own Tennille Towns for the singing of our national anthem, and to the City of Grande Prairie Marketing Department for the footage you saw today. I would now like to take the opportunity to read our land acknowledgement. The city respectfully acknowledges the Beaver Cree, Dene, and Métis people as the original caretakers of these lands and surrounding areas. We are grateful to live, learn, work, and play on Treaty 8 territory within Turtle Island, and acknowledge that these lands have been home to diverse and sovereign First Nations and Inuit nations since time immemorial. Thank you for that. Now moving on to today's agenda. First item of business, the adoption of the previous council minutes, recognizing Councillor Berg.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. I would like to move council adopt the minutes of the City Council meeting held July 2nd as presented.
Thank you for that. That motion is in order. I'll call the question. Please vote. And that carries unanimously. We will now move on to our second item of business, and I'll recognize Councillor O'Connor.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Clayton. I'd like to move council adopt the agenda as presented.
That motion is in order. Seeing no one in the queue, I'll call the question. Please vote. And that too carries unanimously. Moving on to item number 6 on our agenda today, the delegation portion of our meeting. Just for those who may be watching online, if you'd like to be a delegation at a city council meeting, there's a very simple online form that we ask you to fill out ahead of time to let us know you're coming. If we are having an evening session, which we're not tonight, there is an option to attend the evening session as well. We had one group let us know today that they were coming, and so I'll call them up to the table now. Mr. Rick Murray with Ducks Unlimited, if you wanted to come forward. Your microphone is on, and once you get situated, please introduce yourselves for those who might be watching online, and then take about 5 minutes to do your presentation. Following that, I'll open it up to council with any questions. So turn it over whenever you're ready, and welcome.
Yeah, appreciate it. Just take one moment.
Right close, yep.
Perfect. Just one moment while I get that.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, is that actually visible for council there?
There we go. Perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. Well, really appreciate the opportunity to present today. We presented back in 2022 as we just came in to Grande Prairie for the first time to start administering the Boreal Wetland Center, and we thought it would be a good opportunity to present again, give you a bit of an update on what we've been up to in the community. Just for a reminder, my name is Rick Murray. I'm the project manager for the Boreal Wetland Center at Evergreen Park. This is Kaylee Gertzen, who is the site coordinator.
Perfect. Welcome.
So as a bit of a reminder for folks about the Boreal Wetland Centre, our priorities at the Boreal Wetland Centre are to grow awareness and understanding of wetland and environmental stewardship amongst practitioners and decision makers, to facilitate youth education and public outreach to promote environmental wetland stewardship, to support Indigenous-led conservation and braiding of knowledge systems, to maintain a safe and engaging site, and to safeguard the long-term success of the site. We do this through a number of different interpretive trails that are actually at the site, and interpretive signage, community science opportunities, and different programming at the site. So as a bit of a reminder as well, you can see just in the top left there, you can see obviously Evergreen Park. I assume everyone's familiar with Evergreen Park. Right west of parking lot D and north of the Ball Diamonds, that's where the Boreal Wetland Centre actually is. So a nice little 400 by 400 meter patch of land. There is also in the bottom right-hand corner, Boreal Wetland Centre Area 2. That area is not publicly accessible, but we do have programming that happens out there from time to time as part of our user agreement with Evergreen Park. So I'm going to rally through, since last we chatted, we've been part of a 3-year push to get the Boreal Wetland Centre people more aware of the site and more utilized. So year 1, we very much keyed in on introducing ourselves to the community, talking with folks, getting a sense on what they wanted to see from the Boreal Wetland Centre when it comes to being a resource for the community. So that meant talking to new and existing user groups, K through 12 education opportunities, gathering data about the site, so ecological data to get more familiar with the site, and then also starting to build relationships with Indigenous communities in the area in an effort to braid that traditional knowledge into the site. When we last spoke with you, we were pushing for folks to attend our open house back in October of 2022. As a bit of a recap since then, since it has been a little while, we had about 160 members of the public and a number of different folks from different industries and decision makers come out for the day, and in partnership with a number of different user groups like Natural Resources Canada. We had several presentations and walks like medicinal plant walks, Wetlands 101 training, and was really keying in on, again, finding out what folks wanted to see from this site as a resource for the community. Shifting into into year 2, we took those recommendations and went to put them into practice. So hosting a number of different events, we expanded our BioBlitz event into a full week's worth of events. BioBlitz being a community science opportunity for the public at large to participate in data collection, things like plant walks. We did invertebrates this year. We do event with the homeschool community, like a science experiment, trying to get folks to participate in that data gathering. Also worked with folks during National Forest Week and our forestry partners to talk about sustainable forestry when it comes to groups that we work with from time to time. We also worked with Peace Wapiti Academy to launch the Wetland Center of Excellence program. Basically, Peace Wapiti Academy did their launch event for their endeavor to create wetland conservation projects in our region. And we hosted knowledge exchange activities with practitioners. So that larger photo there is about 20 local environmental practitioners learning about wetland classification in the area. With all that said, our big push in year 2 was very much enacting the site improvement that was lacking on the site from previous. So things like no garbage cans or benches out in that area previous. So we added a number of them and also upgraded the trail. So a new packed gravel trail to improve our accessibility options in the site. Big one was also the outdoor classroom, which was added to the site, just offering an area where folks wouldn't get rained out if it happens to rain. It was a heck of a time getting that through the trees, but we were able to wiggle the way through on the trail to actually set that up. Year 3, which is the year that we're currently in, we continued with a number of different projects that we started with in year 1, working with different volunteer groups on team building days, where they come out and do maintenance activities and we offer educational opportunities. Working with groups like Japesis and Walk Through the Forest was the 3rd year they hosted their Walk Through the Forest event, essentially 900 to 1,000 students and teachers, and a number of different groups, such as the City of Grande Prairie, participating in presentations to these youth. We also really focused on improving our entrance. A lot of complaints that we had previous was that people had no idea the site existed even after driving by the entrance. So we worked with a group called Men's Shed Grande Prairie, basically men's mental health with surrounding woodworking, and worked with them to design the new trailhead entrance. A few other things just to highlight some of the city aspects that we were working with. We did participate in an International Museum Day this year, which we were really happy that we got the opportunity to do, and looking forward to be there again in the future. And, by coincidence, we were able to present to the Youth Advisory Council, which we're happy to stick around and see what they've been up to otherwise. And that was a great opportunity because we talked to a lot of folks about the Boreal Wetland Center, but had keyed in on the fact that we don't get to talk to a lot of youth about what they would like to see as well. So a bit of a recap on what the entrance looks like now. Can't miss it as you drive by. We are a larger team across Western Canada and northern provinces as well. This is during our team building exercises. Here, specifically in Grande Prairie, over the last few years, we have hired local staff, though. So I'm based in Grande Prairie. Kaylee is a site coordinator, is based in Grande Prairie. And then we've hired an intern born and raised for 4 months from Grande Prairie as well. Lastly, talk about some things we have upcoming as a bit of an idea of what we typically get up to every year. We have a tour with Evergreen Park Administration and hopefully their board of directors. We have volunteer maintenance days coming up with the Junior Forest Rangers. Attendance at the Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation Career Fair. I've been there out there. This will be the third straight year. We have the Outland Youth Employment Program with Northwestern Polytech coming up. Basically, Indigenous youth with the opportunity to gain life and career skills. Natural Resources Canada has a research plot on our site, and they'll be doing a videography program at the site in August. There'll be the continuation of school programming with Inside Education and Mighty Peace Watershed Alliance. In addition to Inside Education is hosting a Women in Outdoor Careers Summit at the site. And lastly, we have the Wetland Innovation Workshop. So a little bit of a plug for folks. We have the Wetland Innovation Workshop coming up on September 25th. Realize that this is during the Municipalities Convention, which is poor timing, but unfortunately it's also during National Forest Week, which is something that was pretty important for our advisory committee. So what we do hope to do is our goal for this workshop, think of it as a bit of an outdoor conference workshop event where we get folks together to talk about the challenges that we face regionally when it comes to minimizing environmental impacts from development and the work that we do on the working landscape. Get folks together and talk about these things with a bit of a cross-pollination across industries instead of just one industry focused. So do hope that, realize, again, many of you are going to be busy, rightfully so, but do hope that you can leverage your networks and talk to administration. We've reached out to a few of them already to let them know about the opportunity coming up. We'll just quickly say thank you. I appreciate the time again to come in and speak to you. Also do want to acknowledge how we make the Wetland Center happen. It's through the Forest Resource Improvement Association of Alberta, which I know you're familiar with already. We get funding through specifically Canfor, Weyerhaeuser, West Fraser, and Marshall Peace River, along with funding from a number of other sources like Alliance Pipeline, PGI, Varen, TC Energy, and Kira. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Perfect. Well, thank you for your presentation. I'll recognize councillors in the queue. Councillor Berg.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Clayton, and thanks, Rick and Kaylee, for the presentation. Now, I've seen your signs out there, and I haven't gone adventuring yet. Do you guys offer regular scheduled tours, or is it self-guided tours, or what's your setup there for checking it out?
That's a great question. So a lot of people, like, the initial intent is like, well, Ducks Unlimited is probably out there giving tours all the time. And if we took every tour request from, like, let's say every grade 6 class year, that would essentially be our entire job. And that's why we really need to leverage the user groups that are on site. So when I mentioned Mighty Peace Watershed Alliance, Inside Education, Wilder.com, that's how we kind of build up our capacity. So on our website at borealwetlandcenter.com, we have a number of different options that are laid out where folks can reach out to some of these groups to ask for that specific programming. Some programming, we have pillar events that we like to hold or facilitate. So our big events every year are Walk Through the Forest by Japesis. Coming up will be International Museum Day through the city, the Wetland Innovation Workshop, BioBlitz Week. It will happen annually, and then we're also hoping to add a practitioner training event every year. Can be counted on every year for folks that can apply. But to be honest, when it comes to the, like, I'm interested in something, is there something for me to check out at the Wetland Center that is more than just self-guided? it's as easy as reaching out to us and we can put you in the right direction. Or if you have an idea and want to build something, that is kind of how we see our role is like we have a capacity to do programming for some things, but we like to empower the community to see what they want to see on the landscape, basically.
Okay, but a self-guided tour is possible.
Oh, yes, sorry. The site is open all year. We're hoping to toy around with actually clearing the trails this year in the winter. And anyone can go out there at any time. The only time that you might get turned away is if there is a large, like, let's say, walk through the forest, 900 kids. We will have on our website that it's closed, and we typically will have signage out. But that is 2 or 3 times out of 365 days. Everyone can go out there and utilize the site free of charge.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
No worries.
Thanks for your questions, Councillor Berg. Councillor Bosch.
Thank you, Rick and Kaylee, for the presentation. That was, I guess, my question in regards to the grade 6 curriculum and all the students in the area coming. Are you finding that they are taking advantage of your stakeholders that you have involved with your organization and getting all our kids out there? Are you finding that that is happening?
It's interesting at the Boreal Wetlands Center. Like, we work with all those user groups like we talked about, and we all tend to work with the same funders and partners and that type of thing. So let's say, for example, the Women in Outdoor Careers was approached to us by Inside Education, and they talked about like who could be a good options, and we all kind of talk to the same people and go, okay, well, I know somebody from the forestry industry. It's a very small community when it comes to the different options that we have here. So from an education standpoint, the folks that provide that programming, including ourselves, we tend to meet, like I was just with Mighty Peace Watershed Alliance with Councillor Thiessen, and we sat down with those folks while we happened to be there and talk about curriculum and how we can kind of support each other while also kind of making sure we don't overlap with each other's goals and missions, basically. So it is very, the network has increased over the last 2.5 years for sure when it comes to when somebody has an idea or they have a challenge. We usually have a few options to, if we don't have the answer, we're able to refer them to our network for sure.
Is there room for a follow-up?
Sure, go for it.
Thank you. So what would you say your reach is in our region? Like, are you reaching as far as like Wembley or Fairview? Like, how far are people coming to see this site?
So usually it's very difficult for us to track use of the site that isn't from formal programming. So we typically get from formal programming 2,000 to 3,000 people going through the site. Now, as for geographically, it would really depend on us tracking those specific events. So I know for Walk Through the Forest, they do a good job of finding all those schools from not just within the city limits, but also in the county surrounding, basically. And with this being, the land is the county of Grande Prairie doesn't own, but has a disposition on the land. We work closely with them to basically make sure that that this isn't just the majority of folks come in from the city, but we do get folks from the county. But our biggest challenge, and this is no different from when we approached council previously, is that awareness piece, basically. It seems that, we get out, pound the pavement, but it's always a challenge we find out, International Museum Day, we had 60 people come through, and about 10% had heard about it, and none had actually been there before. So fantastic event for us to hit that, the folks that we were trying to raise awareness with, but still that challenge we face. So I wouldn't say we get any folks from like Edmonton or anything like that coming up, but when it comes to the surrounding communities and maybe some of the surrounding municipalities for specific practitioner events, that would probably be the extent of our reach at this point.
Well, with you coming here today and us hopefully asking the right questions, people will get to know.
Absolutely. Yep.
Thanks so much, Councillor Bosch. I have no one else in the queue, so really appreciate you being here today and the update, and thanks for the work that you're doing in our region.
Appreciate the time. Have a good day.
Moving on to item number 7 on today's agenda under reports. Our first item of business is a transfer of land to Rising Above Ministries, and for some reason, I'm not having internet. Mr. Johnson, if you would like to come forward and make a presentation.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. First off, I'd like to introduce Janice Murray. She's been in the Planning and Development Department since 2018, holding various positions, and she is the successful candidate on our recent competition for the land officer position. So,
welcome. Congratulations.
And with that, I will turn it over to her to introduce this item.
Through the mayor, I'm here to present the report of the transfer land to Rise Above Ministries. In the previous...
Maria, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can you just pull your mic a little closer? Sure. Thank you. Perfect. Thank you.
At the June 26, 2023 City Council meeting, Rising Above appeared as a delegation to request an extension of their existing lease, which led to the motion made on July 24, 2023. Council extended the lease with Rising Above Ministries for additional 32 years. Their property is located at 11007 106th Street with 11,800 square foot single-story structure on approximately 2.02 acres zoned public service. Currently, the city owns the property. It was purchased from the province in 2014 for the value of $1. Before 2014, the province owned and operated the property as a young offenders center, which originally constructed in 1975. Proposed agreement terms: Rising Above will purchase the property from the city for $1. Subject to conditions, the city will continue to provide preventative maintenance for the existing building until February 2031. Buyback provisions: within 20 years from the purchase date, if Rising Above ceases its current use or attempts to sell the property, the city has the option to buy the property back for $1, and if there's a newly constructed building, then it'll be purchased at 85% of the fair market value. Recommendations: Council to approve the sale of the property at 11007 106th Street to Rising Above Ministries, Grande Prairie, for the purchase of $1, subject to the conditions of the offer to purchase, and rescind the July 24th, 2023 Council motion to extend the existing lease with Rising Above Ministries. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, thanks for your presentation. You did great on your first time, so appreciate that, and I'll open it up to Council for questions for administration. Recognizing Councillor Berg.
Thanks, Mayor Clayton. Just to do business, it's if I may, I'd like to move Council approve the sale of plan.
I have a few other people in the queue, so I'll come back to you for
sure. Okay. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Councillor Bosch.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. I just had a quick question because I didn't hear you quite. You said the maintenance will go till 2031?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Councillor Thiessen.
Sorry, Councillor Berg, I had to keep you waiting here. Just a question on top of Councillor Bosch's. By the way, sorry, thanks and welcome to Team City, Janice. Appreciate your report. In regards to the maintenance request, what happens if there's a larger maintenance issue? Would that fall on the hands of Rising Above, owning the building? I know we got preventative maintenance. I think something like, oh, you got a leak in the roof, we'll patch that up. Let's say there's a downed boiler or something like that.
Ms. Murray?
To the mayor, we're going to defer that to Jamie.
Mr. Freeman, I see you've turned your camera on. Please go ahead.
The agreement is rather specific about exactly what preventative maintenance will be provided. To take the example of Councillor Thiessen, a major roof repair would be a capital expense not included within those provisions. Hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, very much so. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Freeman. Seeing no one else in the queue, we'll go back to Councillor Berg.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Clayton. And just to speak to this, Again, there is no real cost to the city. We paid $1 for it. We're selling it for $1. We were already paying the maintenance, so this has an end date for the city. But more importantly, this allows Rising Above to borrow against the land, because I do know that they want to build a new building, an additional building on that land, and so this allows them to borrow against it. So a win-win all the way around, and this is not a precedent-setting thing. This is something that the city has done in the past. So I would like to move that council approve the sale of Plan 1421696, Block 6, Lot 22, also known as 11007 106th Street, to Rising Above Ministries, Grande Prairie, for the purchase price of $1, subject to conditions of the offer to purchase, and 2, rescind the July 24th, 2003 council motion to extend the existing lease with Rising Above Ministries for the use of city-owned land, Plan 1421696, Block 6, Lot 22, also known as 11007 106th Street, for an additional 32 years.
All right. Thanks, Councillor Berg. Your motions are in order. I'll recognize Councillor Blackmore with discussion or debate.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. I'll certainly be supporting this motion. The business of nonprofit deliveries of services in our community plays such a significant role, and we could not provide those services at anywhere near the cost or the cost savings that our nonprofit organizations do. This is just simply a way to facilitate the work they do and to move them forward with the good expansion plans they have. So it's an excellent project. Thank you.
For your comments, recognize Councillor O'Connor.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. I, too, will be supporting this motion, as this is well-deserved, hard-earned. They do a tremendous job of helping people in the community, so I'm fully behind this.
All right. Thank you for that. Seeing no one else in the queue, I'll call the question. Please vote. And that carries unanimously. Thank you for your presentation. In a moment here, moving on to item 7.2 under reports. Today's the opportunity for the Youth Advisory Council to present their 2023 annual report. And with that, I'll ask Ms. Hornet and Ms. Nellis to come forward. And if you are bringing others, we'll grab you a chair. There we go. Once you get situated, if you could please just introduce yourself for those who might be watching online. I'll turn it over to Ms. Hornet for introduction when you're ready.
All right. Well, thank you, Mayor Clayton, City Councilors, for welcoming the Youth Advisory Council to present on their annual report for their 2023-2024 term to be received for information. I'd like to acknowledge Chair Daisy Nellis and Secretary Tanu Namsat with me here today. My name is Nicole Hornet with Community Social Development. Also recognizing our Youth Advisory Council members in the gallery, we have Tish Gohl, EJ Agao, and Miriam Nazanda. Youth Advisory Council mandate is to provide an effective link between community boards and committees, City Council, and community agencies with Grande Prairie youth. I believe this term of youth members has more than met their mandate for the 2023-2024 term, and I'd like to pass this presentation over to Daisy and Tanu to share their activities and achievements on the next slides.
Thank you, Nicole. Okay. My name is Daisy Nellis. I'm the chair of this year's Youth Advisory Council. I've been a member for 3 years, and it's my absolute pleasure today to not only present our report to the City Council, but also to thank the members and the councilors that we had working with us this year. So in this term, we had 16 active members, as well as councilors Thiessen and O'Connor, and our city administration, Nicole, at every meeting. And I'd like to recognize our dedicated YAC this term. So Tanu Namsat, Tish Goel, Nabil Malik, Adrian Temple, Aidan St. Pierre, Blake Parker, EJ Gao, Hannah Ungstad, Janae Chamberlain, Manya Singal, Miriam Nazinda, Peyton Wright, Raphael Malik, Timvenda Rupana, and Tristan Paragas. I would love to sincerely thank them for not only their time in attending the meetings, training sessions, and engagement opportunities, but also for their dedicated and engaged service to the City of Grande Prairie. We would also like to extend a lot of gratitude to our councillors, Thiessen and O'Connor specifically, for attending all of our meetings and as many events that they were able to make possible, and for their mentorship and engagement over the last term. And we'd also like to generally thank council for meeting with us and hearing out our ideas during our sessions together. We'd also like to thank the Grande Prairie City Council for the use of chambers for all of our meetings, as we feel like this was a nice bridge for us to get to meet and understand the role of council a little bit better. So next. So regarding some of our work this term as a council, in December, we made revisions to the city bylaw C-1422, and not only amended the definition of a youth member, but we also increased our council size to 18 from 12. So this allowed us to welcome 4 more members to our council, bringing us to a total of 16, and making this term the largest youth advisory council that we've ever had in the city. Another new thing for this year is that our council was able to complete equity, diversity, and inclusion training that's offered by the city to all staff members. We had the chance to participate in unconscious bias training and assessing racism and discrimination courses, and many of our members completed both sessions. In this term as well, we saw an increase in the number of delegations welcome to monthly meetings, as well as an increase to the numbers of events we were able to attend. And I'm very optimistic from the progress that we've had this year that we can continue to build on this term success by integrating new members and continuing some of the practices that we initiated this year. So now I'll hand it off to Tanu, and she can share some of the key points from all of our areas this year.
Hi, I'm Tanu Namsat, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to help present to you about our YAC term. And I am going to be sharing the results from our 2023-2024 Youth Advisory Council term in our 4 key areas, which were delegations, engagement opportunities, event attendance, and learning tours. So this year, YAC welcomed 10 delegations to our monthly meetings. Delegations either connected with us directly, or our city administrator makes a connection to city departments and organizations to come present on topics that we, YAC, as a group requested based on our interest in those areas. And so this year we had many delegations come in to present to us, and here is the list of them. So first off, we had cell phone tower placement, food security, snow removal, Grande Prairie Transit, Women of Influence Awards, Ducks Unlimited Canada, Grande Prairie Police Service, Kickstand Connect, Resource Center for Suicide Prevention, and Sunrise House. As a group, YAC, we are extremely grateful to be able to hear from all of these delegations because they helped us better understand the foundations that the city is built upon. During this YAC term, we participated in many City of Grande Prairie engagement opportunities, such as the Food Security Data Walk, Resident Satisfaction Survey, Urban Forest Strategy Survey, and the Museum Expansion Project. We have provided a picture of our experience from the museum, and during our museum engagement, we met the curator, viewed the museum gallery, and toured behind the scene after hours. Some of our members had never toured the museum before, and this tour helped us answer some of the questions that we had posed during the engagement session, and also inspired some of the youth who were with us to think about visiting the museum more often with friends, or even volunteering or having a job there someday. As active citizens in Grande Prairie, we were happy to attend so many local events, either on our own as a YAC member or together as a team. Part of our authority, as outlined by our bylaw, is that we promote and attend events that profile local youth issues. This year, we attended Canada Day, Coldest Night of the Year, GP Grows, Mayor and City Council Meet and Greet, Mayor's State of the City, Opioids Don't Discriminate exhibit, Thriving in the City, Voices of Community Collaboration, Women of Influence Awards, Youth Career Discovery Expo, and the Youth Week 2024 kickoff and art unveiling. To our note, our Youth Advisory Council Chair, Daisy Nellis, was nominated and recognized as the Youth Woman of Influence for 2024, which is such a huge achievement at such a young age. And with that, I would like to pass this back to Daisy with learning tours.
Thank you, Tanu. So some of our learning tours that we went through this year helped us have some of the informed discussions to let us advise you as a council better. So we went to City Hall and Council chambers and were led around by Councillors Thiessen and O'Connor. We went to the Eastlink pool and toured the underneath and the operations side of that, the fire department, and the Grande Prairie Museum. Yes, and these all contributed to help us understand some of the types of jobs and opportunities that are available in Grande Prairie, and also some of the struggles that these places may be having or the restrictions to youth that might occur there, so we can inform better from a youth perspective. So for our last slide, we'd like to just go through some of the recommendations that we'll be making to council this term. So the first recommendation that we have is for the city to explore hosting the Youth Career Discovery Expo again in 2025 and hopefully every year to precede that. This event is nothing like we've ever seen in Grande Prairie before, and I think it comes from a very good place of understanding of the difficulties of peers of us and youth in Grande Prairie. We've heard many, many times that they don't know what to do in Grande Prairie. They don't know where to go from here. They don't know how to grow their life in Grande Prairie, and we find that this event really helped people connect to Grande Prairie in a new, meaningful way. And we also think that this addresses some of the concerns that council has about making Grande Prairie a place to raise your kids and for us to raise our kids hereafter. The second recommendation that we have for council is that our monthly meetings continue to be held one in council chambers, and that we pair it with one off-site event, whether that be a learning tour, a training opportunity, or an engagement event. We feel that seeing each other more than once a month really helped us bond closer as a term, and I can say that from experience of 3 terms, this is by far the most productive and close-knit group that we've had. The third recommendation is that we continue to publish an annual report like done this year, and that we continue to come to council so we can share some of the exciting new things that we're doing and also share some of the critiques that we found throughout the year. And we'll open up to questions now from council. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for your presentation. Recognizing Councillor O'Connor.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. It was an honor to have you come here and be part with Councillor Thiessen. You made us very, very proud because you're engaged, you listened, you asked, and you were involved, and almost full 100% participation from all your council members. So we really appreciate that. So I'll come back for business, and I have a motion following this item once we come out.
Councillor Bosch.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. I really have been watching your council over the last couple of years, being a part of it the year before. I really see an increase in your organizational patterns and efforts within your council group. That has grown tremendously. So congratulations on that. Not only the numbers, but what you're doing and how you're doing it is far more organized. My question to you is something that in the past 3 years, or maybe 2 years, and this year is different, we'll see, difficulty in reaching your peers through, let's say, social media or through each school. Has that growing, has that increased as far as engagement with your peers?
Okay, yes. So the engagement from peers has gone up somewhat this year based on the number of events that we were able to not only host, but also be a part of. So, for example, at the Youth Career Discovery Expo, we had a booth and we were able to talk to students, and I gave out my phone number and we gave out emails and all these sort of things to keep in contact with youth in Grande Prairie. But one of our goals that we've set up for next term is to also incorporate more social media and more awareness into our term to try and expand the reach of YAC yet again for the next term. So thank you for your question.
Yeah, that's probably the main growth piece for you is your peers. You got all of us tied around your finger, for every one of us old people, but you need the young ones in there. You're kind of old.
Councillor Blackmore.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. I've watched youth advisory councils come and grow and disintegrate over a number of years, and you're certainly knocking it out of the park. You've done a superb job and have managed to not only maintain your enthusiasm, but to drag more enthusiasm along with you. So congratulations. I really did enjoy the Youth Careers Fair as well, and I thought it was a great project. I know that that was provided through funding from the Tamarack Society, and I'm wondering if there's an opportunity to access that grant funding again, if you would know that.
I'm just going to pass this one on to
Ms. Hornet, do you happen to know?
Yes, thank you very much. Through the mayor, thank you for your question. You're right, that was a single year funding opportunity that the city was able to bring on for the Youth Career Discovery Expo and the Communities Building Youth Future Initiative. I continue to look for grant opportunities. We're not able to access that funding anymore. It was year 4 of 4 that we accessed as the city. So I continue to look for funding, but unfortunately that particular pool is not available.
Do you remember off the top of your head what the amount was that you used to put that fair on with?
Yes, thank you again through the mayor. Yes, I do have those numbers. I don't have them here with me today. I'd love to be able to give you the accurate numbers. I have created an event proposal that outlines what I think we can run the event for with a little bit of cost savings. And so if you would permit that, I would love to be able to go back and get that number for you.
Yeah, you can email it to us. Yeah.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thanks.
CAO Bork had some input.
I'm just going to echo that we are looking at what this event was a successful event, and we are looking at what it would cost if we had to look at alternative sources of revenue. So that is something that will likely come back to council. So you probably won't get an email right away with that proposal. We still have some questions, but it is top of mind that we're looking for alternatives to see how we could continue that with a different funding model.
Councillor Thiessen.
Thanks so much for coming in and presenting on behalf of Youth Council here today, ladies. For me, I know Councillor O'Connor, he gets emotional over this stuff, but it's truly been an honor over this last year watching you all develop and grow, and watching Youth Council grow along with you shows a tremendous amount of leadership that at the end of the day, Councillor O'Connor and I and the rest of council can pat ourselves on the back and say, look, we're growing Youth Council, but the reality is you are growing Youth Council, all of you that are here. So thank you so much for having that passion and that willingness to learn and to understand the city operations. I think it's only going to serve you better, us better, and the community better going forward in the future. And this presentation was just really great. If I may, I don't have any questions for you. You hear me talk enough all the time. But I just want to encourage you to keep pursuing this path in leadership that you all have taken on under Youth Council. I know that there's more things that you all think you could probably do, and I want to tell you that you can. So don't try to discourage yourselves or each other from that. Just keep pushing forward. Your contributions to our community are only going to grow Youth Council, and it's only going to create more young leaders in your wake. So thank you for your contributions this year, for your commitment to next year, and for your commitment to making Grande Prairie a better place for all ages. So thanks so much, all of you.
Councillor O'Connor. Yep. Thanks. I just want to speak in support of this motion. I want to thank the youth for having the vision. I can tell you that previous councils have always tried to engage youth. They've provided what we thought was the appropriate opportunity. However, this youth council really took us up on it and held us to task. Thank you to Ms. Hornet for your commitment to providing guidance and really encouraging the youth council to push the envelope. This council was truly engaged, as previous councils were. However, you really took advantage of the opportunity that was in front of you and utilized not only the time and space, but the learning opportunity to learn more about our municipal government and what happens on a daily basis. I would risk to say that you know much more in regards to the operations of our municipality than the average voter does. So thank you for the commitment that you did, that you served in your community, and thank you so much for growing the number of youth that are engaged in our community. It's appreciated. Seeing nothing else, I'll call the question. Please vote. And that carries unanimously. Councillor O'Connor, you had another item of business?
I'm not sure after listening to CAO, it's already in hand. I was going to move for more explanation, but I think they're doing that.
Perfect. I think we are prepared to have a further conversation on the requests and the future of, what's possible for the Youth Advisory Council. So thank you so much for being here today. And that is it. Thank you. Oh, we're going to do a picture. I apologize. Mr. Cooper, we're going to do that right now? All right. My apologies. There we go. Moving on to committee business, item 8 on our agenda today. The first item of business is from the Financial Administrative Services Committee meeting held on July 9th. One item of business as well as some regular business. I will turn this one over to Councillor O'Connor for introduction.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. I'd like to move Council adopt the minutes of the Financial and Administrative Services Committee meeting held July 9th as presented.
Thank you for that. That motion is in order. Seeing no one in the queue with concerns or errors or omissions, I'll call the question. And that carries unanimously. Moving on, one item of business today, Councillor O'Connor.
Yes, I'd like to move that Council refer the matter of infrastructure upgrades at Borstad Hill, Ernie, Radbourne, Pavilion, electrical scope 1 to budget deliberations.
All right, so this was presented at standing committee. The information is in your package. I know if there's any other questions from council that may not have been at the standing committee, Mr. Glavin, Chief Glavin is here for that today. Seeing no one with any questions, I'll call the question on that motion. And that carries unanimously. Highlights from your meeting, Councillor O'Connor.
Yes, just give me 1 second, Mayor Clayton. In assessment and taxation, the tax collection rate before the deadline was higher than previous years at approximately 94%. Administration has sent out the annual request for information regarding commercial and multifamily properties and encourage property owners to complete and submit this information. And, okay, I think that's most of it unless you want me to mention the census. Are we still?
I can turn that over to the CAO if
yes,
there are more up-to-date information.
Thanks, Mayor Clayton. We're just wrapping up a collection of census data. Enumerators are no longer knocking on doors, but we are still accepting those that we're willing to share their information if you call 311. We have met our minimum required number, although if we could get a few more, it will assist us in looking at in our estimates. So if you haven't filled it out yet and you still have your card, please call 311, and more final report will be coming back to the council probably after the break, but we have met our minimum standard that we required.
All right, thanks for that update. Councillor O'Connor, nothing further?
No, just fill out your census. You'll help save on taxes.
All right, moving on to item 8.2, the Operational Services Committee meeting held on July 9th. I'll turn this one over to Councillor Thiessen for introduction.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Mayor Clayton. I would move that Council approve the minutes of the Operational Services Committee meeting held July 9th as presented.
Thanks. That motion is in order. Seeing no one in the queue, I'll call the question. And that carries unanimously. Councillor Thiessen, you had one item of business today.
Certainly did, Mayor Clayton. Thank you very much. With that item of business is the Transit System Bylaw Amendment C-1282A. And I would move that Council give first reading to Bylaw C-1282A, being an amendment to the Transit Systems Bylaw.
Right. Thank you for that. That motion is in order. No discussion or debate on first reading. So I'll call the question. And that carries unanimously. Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Clayton. I move that Council give second reading to Bylaw C-1282A, being an amendment to the Transit System Bylaw. Now, speaking to this motion, the bylaw itself addresses just some minor grammatical and titles that are included in it. So we changed some names of the positions, as well as added in vaping under the prohibited things to do on the transit system. There was a little bit of debate, discussion, and it was very minor. No changes were made, and I encourage Council to approve this as it's presented.
Thanks for that, Councillor Thiessen. Just to echo, it would be fair to say that primarily housekeeping in these changes today?
100%.
Perfect. All right, seeing no one in the queue with questions or discussion or debate, I'll call the question on second reading. That carries unanimously. Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Clayton. I move that we have third reading at this meeting.
So that motion is in order. In order for us to have third reading here today, this must pass unanimously. Seeing no one in the queue, I'll call the question. And that carries unanimously. Councillor Thiessen.
All right, thank you very much, Mayor Clayton. I would move that Council give third reading to Bylaw C-1282A, being an amendment to the Transit System Bylaw.
Perfect. Thank you for that. That motion is in order. Seeing no one in the queue, I would call the question on third reading. And that carries unanimously. Any highlights from your meeting, Councillor Thiessen?
Yes, just a couple here, Mayor Clayton. First highlight, some tenders have been closed. The reconstruction of Muskasippi tennis and basketball courts and trail has closed, so that'll be underway here right away, as well as storm pipe and outfall rehabilitation and road rehabilitation program phase 4. You may have seen some of our storm outfall work going on. I know there's some on Resources Road. Not sure if it's part of this tender, but it is nevertheless work that is getting done. Finally, in transit, heated shelter construction is ongoing and completion is expected by end of July. I don't think at this point we're going to need to turn the heat on those heated shelters. I think the sun is doing a great job on its own, but it sure will be beneficial in the wintertime. And a shout out to Councillor Bosch, who's been tenacious in her efforts to ensure that we get these out there as soon as possible. Also, it's worthy to note that overall ridership in our transit has gone up about 63% from this time, June 30th last year. So that's a great testament to maybe youth-free ridership, maybe our youth council encouraging that, but overall, just people riding the bus, which is what we hoped for when we made that decision. Thank you.
Thanks for your report. I'm glad to hear that Councillor Bosch was tenacious and not heated. Good, right? All right. Moving on to item 8.3, the strategy. So, my apologies. Councillor Blackmore.
I had a question for this committee. There's been some transportation and road events in the city in the last couple of weeks, and I'm wondering if we can get an update where those mishaps, where they are in the repair process.
Absolutely. Chief Glavin.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. I'll start off with 132nd Avenue and the CN rail crossing. So CN was doing some work. They were installing conduit underneath the road. Unfortunately, there was not a proper locate done on the water line, hit the water line, and then caused severe damage to the road. They are backfilling today. It looks like they are very close to bringing the subgrade back up to where they could start repairing the road. It will likely be the better part of a week before the road is completely open. However, we do expect two-lane traffic later today, which will help alleviate some of the traffic concerns in the north end. On the 116th Avenue reconstruction over by Ernie's, there was an improperly abandoned water line in that area that has caused some additional work that extended over to Resources Road and then further north into the Pomeroy property. That is not part of the initial scope of our project. Those repairs are being undertaken by Aquaterra. And Resources Road is now has been reopened on the north, so there shouldn't be any unplanned traffic disruptions in that area. And I think those are the main two that were causing significant concern in the community.
Did that answer your questions, Councillor Blackmore? Perfect. Thanks for that update, Chief Glavin. I just had a question, sort of echoing some of Councillor Blackmore's comments. Some of council has been hearing in regards to the perception that the bypass has been an ongoing rehabilitation and that it appears that some of the work is repeat work. Could you maybe talk about how the rehab has been a phasing approach and that what community could expect once this phase is completed? If there's, is this the last phase of that sort of intersection, or what is the expectation?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Clayton. To my knowledge, there's no repeat work that we're doing on any of the phases, but this is the last major phase of reconstruction on that road since we took it over from the province. That would be the short answer to that
Perfect. One. Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate that. See no one else in the queue. I'm going to move on to item 8.3 in the Strategy and Communication Services Committee meeting held July 9th, and I'll turn that one over to Councillor Thiessen as well.
Well, I guess our chair is not here, so I would move that council adopt the minutes of the Strategy and Communication Services Committee meeting held July 9th as presented.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Councillor Thiessen. That motion is in order. Call the question on that motion.
Sure.
And that carries unanimously. Give Councillor Thiessen a minute here, and just looking to see if you have any highlights from your meeting.
Yeah, I got a few highlights. We received reports from Rory Tarrant on our advocacy priorities update. So he's our Director of Intergovernmental Affairs, and we get regular updates on our advocacy. Oh, wait, I'm on Council Committee of the Whole, never mind. Janet McKecken, our Chief of Staff, presented committee with an update on the current and projected activities planned throughout the service area, including intergovernmental affairs that we were updated on. Corporate communications. Some of our recent announcements include City receiving federal funding for wayfinding trail signage. The Grande Prairie Museum will host Heritage Day August 3rd. So for any members of our community that want to see how culturally diverse we are, please come on down to Muskosipi Park. As well as we've done various construction updates and promotion of our afternoon teas at the Forbes Homestead, which is a great time, especially at this time of year. So yeah, their kickoff Sundays in the park, the resident satisfaction survey. We talked a little bit about censuses that day too. We weren't quite there yet. A week later, we're there. So that's good news. All that hard work in our department there. And under corporate marketing, the last thing I'll mention is the Canada Day Beer Garden saw a 25% increase in sales in 2024 over the event in 2023. The reason I want to make note of this is because we used to not serve alcohol. There seemed to be a bit of a fear around doing that inside city spaces, and we since moved away from that. And I think it's been of a benefit for both the attendees and for us. One, it's a benefit for us in the fact that we know that we can responsibly host beer gardens without incident and provide other services for people who may want to have that leisurely drink while they're out on Canada Day. I should also mention Councillor O'Connor and Councillor O'Toole and myself helped out with the Eastlink Centre Triathlon, which was a glorious event that hosted over 300 kids and adults for an event that when they were done, you could see the size of relief, exhaustion, and pride for being able to finish that triathlon job off. So great work all in all for our Strategic and Communication Services Committee. And besides that, we also received an update on our progress with the Indigenous Relations Framework as well, which is probably the most important thing that happened at that meeting. I encourage members of our community to go online and check it out, as we do have the updates posted there. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you for that. And if you happen to be in City Hall, you'll notice the new artwork that's on display in regards to some of the work that we've been doing in that Indigenous Relations Framework and continual changes that we've been making. So thanks for your report, Councillor Thiessen. Moving on to item 8.4, the Council Committee of the Whole meeting held July 10th. I will turn this, I don't know if anybody has any questions. The package is in front of you. I would look for one of my colleagues to support on this. Councillor Thiessen.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Clayton. I might as well, since I started already giving the gist of what happened at that meeting, but I would move Council adopt the minutes of the Council Committee of the Whole meeting held Wednesday, July 10th, as presented.
Perfect. Thank you for that. The motion is in order. The information of the items that were discussed is in your package, so please, I'll call the question. Please go ahead and vote. Councillor Thiessen, how do you vote?
Sorry, I pushed the button and looked away. Oh.
There we go. That carries unanimously. No items of correspondence tonight. Moving on to item number 10 of delegation business. Earlier today, we had delegates come from Ducks Unlimited and make a presentation, also provide an update in regards to the work that they're doing in our region. And I will recognize Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Clayton. I would move that we receive the Ducks Unlimited presentation on the Boreal Wetland Center for information.
Perfect. That motion is in order. Seeing no one in the queue with questions, discussion, or debate, I will call the question. Please vote. And that carries unanimously. We have no notices of motion today. We are not taking a recess, so I will move on to, sorry, there's no public hearings, no unfinished business, and I will move on to council member reports, and I'll start with Councillor Blackmore.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. I didn't have too much to do over the last 2 weeks that had to do with council. Certainly had a number of family things going on, but I did have coffee with MLA Dick, which we talked about the advocacy items our council is putting forward. I did attend a meeting with the Musqueam stakeholders. Councillor Plot was also on that meeting with me. We discussed where they are in their building plans and where they are with their multiple memorandums of understanding they have with various organizations. So they are happy with what they have in place with the University of Alberta. They're working on a memorandum with Northwest Polytechnic that is basically at the pretty much at the signing stage. The ATB business manager was also at that meeting, so he gave us an update on where they are with their construction loan, which is positive information, and they're still on track to begin their construction in time to complete and open in 2026. And that is everything that I did.
Thanks for that, Councillor Blackmore. I'm going to go to Councillor Berg next, please.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Clayton. Just a fairly late schedule for me as well. I attended GrandCon on Saturday. Had a lot of fun, fundraiser for Odyssey House. This event just keeps getting better and better in my mind. Every booth puts so much effort and time into what they're doing. So great presentation all the way around. I actually sat in on one presentation session as well around AI and where that's headed as far as be it film, music, or animation. So very interesting presentation and great to see everybody dressed up. Just a good event, GrandCon, so thanks to all the organizers for putting that on. And then out at South Bear Creek on Saturday, I was fortunate enough to give greetings on behalf of City Council at the U17 Provincial Fastball Championships. 8 teams from across Alberta attended on a beautiful day, and it was actually a bit of a relief where our weather broke from the mid-30s down to mid to high 20s just for the weekend. Just looking at Calgary, SBR Rockies beat Innisfail in extra innings, but again, great effort by all the organizers. when I walked up, you could just feel the energy of the tournament and how excited everybody was, and just an all-around great event, and continues the quality of life here in Grande Prairie, as well as we promote sport tourism. So just another feather on our cap here in the city. Everyone was impressed with the facilities down in South Bear Creek. And that's my report.
Thanks for that, Councillor Berg. Appreciate it. Councillor O'Connor.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. I also volunteered on Saturday for the under-17 fastball championships and was selling tickets, and I didn't win anything, so that's okay. Attended the 6th Annual East Link triathlon with Chris and Kevin, and just the look of joy and exhaustion as they come across the finish line. But we were a little bit hoarse. We cheered every last candidate coming in, contested coming in, and just covered in sweat. Whatever. Anyway, went to, again, I'm going to leave these ones for the visits to council to you, Councillor Thiessen. Okay? And then the last one is Punjabi Bursa. Went there last night with Councillor Thiessen, and my hands are sore, my throat is sore from singing, and didn't understand a word, but you knew what they were on about just by the message and their culture. So it was a tremendous event for me. I appreciated it. Thank you.
Thanks for your report. Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Clayton. Yeah, I just want to throw in one more. Councillor O'Connor was talking about the joy and the exhaustion, and I was talking about the joy and the exhaustion. But, you know, I think I really need to talk a little bit more about the joy and the exhaustion of handing out over 300 medals in the blazing sun heat. And I'll tell you, the look of joy, and it could have passed for exhaustion on Mike O'Connor's face every time we poured a bottle of water over top of him and his clothes. Like it was we knew he was being relieved of the heat, and that was good for me in knowing that. Yeah, but always an honor to take part in those type of delegate experiences or dignitary experiences. Councillor O'Connor and I also got to take in the Youth Advisory Council year-end mini golf tour around the Wee Links. Not really much of a job. It was just more about having fun and encouraging new members to the Youth Advisory Council, of which I think we saw about 6 new potential applicants that were coming out to join the existing Youth Advisory Council. So that's great because we're still moving that through the summer, and really can't prop the kids up enough because they're doing such a great job there. So thanks to our Youth Council. Mike gave me this one. He threw it over, so he said, "You talk about the kids." Speaking of kids, Councillor O'Connor and I got to do the City Council City Hall School with the Champions Gym kids, and as well as the Grande Prairie Centre for Newcomers kids as well. And in that Grande Prairie Centre for Newcomers one, we did take a moment. Normally we talk about municipal government and just municipal government, and we stuck to mostly that, but we diverted a bit from our regular script, recognizing that there are many people represented from many different countries, and we wanted to hear what their experiences were coming into Grande Prairie, Canada, and, you know, got to ask them those questions. Where are you from? Why'd you come here? And the kids, as always, were so eager to tell some of their story that afterwards we had to work harder to get them a bit more under control, because we kind of hyped them all up by getting them engaged and then putting them on TV here, which is always a joy for all of our camps, kids, and classrooms that come in here for those types of teaching. I think Councillor O'Connor and I have a pretty good rapport. I was also at Punjabi Versa, hard not to dance in your seat with the music that was going on there, the joy there. I've never quite seen Douglas J. Cardinal Theatre, like where you saw about 400 people dancing in one aisle, all crowded around each other. Councillor O'Connor and I were bouncing in our seats and clapping, and I'm sure we were just as entertaining for the people that were there that were not watching the stuff on stage. Finally, I just want to remind people that there's a couple awesome things happening this week. Grande Prairie International Street Performers is happening this weekend. That's a fun, free family event for everybody. You can go down and support, the arts live on our streets. I know there's lots of people in their committee working very hard to ensure that happens every year for us. So please go out, take your family, and support them. As well, on Wednesday, for members of council or the community, if you're interested, the GP Grows is on tour Is be hitting O'Brien Park, and I know last year when we cut the ribbon on that, they were showing off their goji berries, their strawberry patches, their 6 new apple trees in their orchard, and so much more. They're going to teach people how to plant trees and how to properly weed. So if you need a little extra insights, come on down Wednesday at 7 o'clock. GP Grows on tour. Thank you.
Thanks for your report, Councillor Thiesing. Councillor Bosch.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. I'll talk about the Grande Prairie Local Immigration Partnership Committee that I'm on. Recently, there was a newcomer survey that went out, and since all the results are in, the presentation was given to council, but this survey results are also now on the city website. So I would encourage people to go and check out what our newcomers have to say about our community, what we have to offer, and what we can do to change things for the better. Since that survey was conducted, the next step is to design a action plan for issues or concerns that are upcoming from that survey, and collaborate with the many partners and groups that are within that committee. I think there's somewhere around 21 different organizations or something. We're also working as a committee and the staff primarily through the city on a newcomers newsletter. That is great to see for them up and coming. The Welcome Week starts off September 13th for our newcomers, and so there'll be several events planned for that. More details will come out shortly. And our committee is discussing, are starting to have discussions on affordable housing and our immigrants coming to our community, and on how their quality of life needs are needing to be addressed, and not unlike anybody coming from perhaps Eastern Canada or elsewhere, just items that we need to look at in regards to affordable housing. I also attended, as we all did, the Council Committee of the Whole. It's been a fairly quiet 2 weeks, for me anyway, other than the organizing of the street performers. So our team has been working really hard to organize the 24th annual street performers. And I have to tell you that this is the largest free festival in Western Canada that includes our regional partners. And what that means is actually our performers should be here now from Edmonton. They should be arriving in the next 20 minutes or so. And starting tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday, they'll be going out to Wembley, Sexsmith, and Beaver Lodge for what they call regional teasers. And that's just a short little program that each of our small communities do for their members of their community. And they have hot dogs and fun and for that lunch hour period. And it's an opportunity for us who are providing a large festival to give back to our community for entertainment that can come at such a high cost, but we can manipulate it so that we can give this experience to smaller regional communities who couldn't do that on their own. So excited to meet all these new street performers for this year, and I encourage everybody to come out. It'll be hot and beautiful. Bring lots of water and sunscreen and an umbrella. So that's my report.
Thanks for that, Councillor Bosch. Don't have a lot to add. I had the opportunity to meet with MLA Dick and MLA Weeb to discuss, and with Weyerhaeuser to discuss the future of the caribou migration that we've been hearing about for many years. Just to give council an update, Weyerhaeuser will be coming to council in the near future to update everyone, and at that point we'll discuss advocacy opportunities that they believe based on what they're hearing through their conversations with the provincial government. Had the opportunity, if you recall, I sit on the Alberta Municipalities Economic Development Strategy Committee. Had a meeting recently in Edmonton with them. At that meeting, Minister Yassine gave us an update in regards to Rural Renewal Stream as well as other immigration initiatives within his portfolio. Also attended the Mid-Sized City Mayor's meeting, had an opportunity to update some of our advocacy priorities representing the needs of our community at the table with 24 other mid-sized cities. It's a really, as you're all aware, a great opportunity for conversations where like-sized cities share best practices but also share advocacy priorities. I attended with Councillor Plot and Councillor Bressie the cost-sharing culture, recreation and culture cost-sharing committee meeting last week. And with that, I would say that the last few weeks have been involved a lot of advocacy work. Also had an opportunity to have a meeting with our Court of King's Bench representative to talk about the province's future planning for an upgrade or renovation at our courthouse. So more to come on that in the near future. And with that, that is my report, and we'll see you all again soon. See you at the Street Performers Festival this weekend. Take care. Have a good evening.